Yap. 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 Yap.
Y.O.D, Y.O.D, Y.O.D. I'm the young old dude with the new ology. Leader of the new school, old mentality. Got the loose Twitter fingers. You following me?
Yap.
Y.O.D, Y.O.D, Y.O.D. Y.O.D, Y.O.D, Y.O.D. I'm the young old dude with the new ology. Leader. Y.O.D, Y.O.D, Y.O.D. Y.O.D, Y.O.D, Y.O.D.
As we approach episode 100, it's been quite the journey. I'll take the blame for the longevity. So, your thoughts on reaching 100, sharing your story, and a bit of reflection on the journey of Y.O.D Podcast. And I need a hat, by the way. I keep missing to get a hat. So I need to get one today. If you have one, if not, I need to get a hat.
Yeah.
It's all good. Obviously, I need to get one. I never get one. But yeah, let's get into it. Your reflection on this long journey and getting there. This is the consistency and the hands on the plow, if you will. Even messed up.
All the physical and psychological physiology put together shit you're gonna go through in your late 30s if you're an athlete, and it messes with you bad. And I'm saying most people give up. You that are still pressing, you that are still pushing, you that are still getting it done, it's like, hell yeah, that's badass. Because that's saying it's a game recognized game. When I see a dude walk a certain way, throw a punch a certain way, move a certain way, and I know they know what they're doing, it's because their body is starting to depreciate, and they can't do what they did, but they're doing what they can. And the funny thing, where it came from, funny story, right around 41, 42, I think was the last time that it was regular for me to be in this ring sparring. I had a guy who was a middleweight. He was really, really strong at the time. I built him up. He was 8-0, all by KO. I was sparring with him. And you get to that point, you feel pretty good about yourself. So we get in, and he's like, all right, I'm gonna test this old man. Did forward. He goes, damn, crew. I'm like, what? Man, you the youngest old dude I know.
You gotta go inside, look in the mirror, and keep asking questions on what is this about? Why do I think this way? Where did this start? Especially anything negative, And Buddhist teachings, it's written somewhere where Buddha said, and he's like, I'm human, so don't just holding it out shit on that. Just trying to think clear. You can change anything. You can fix whatever, but it's gonna take a lot of work. There's reprogramming your mind. The mind is everything. And all I gotta say is thank goodness that I identified with that at an early age. I didn't know how it was categorized and all this sort of stuff, but I knew what I felt. And that's mind, strong mind.
Weird, ethereally driven person, but weird, unique, whatever. But you can just sense and see, and I think is why I harp on strength. And and I listened to her. She was talking about certain things. She's saying, "Wait, just can't. Don't come with these bullshit complaints. Okay, I get it. You feel it, but what the fuck are you gonna do?"
What's up, everybody, and thanks for tuning in to the Y.O.D Podcast with the one and only tough is good, smart is better, are you coachable, choose to succeed. And then Ajahn Ruben, episode 99, where we go back just a little bit back in time from a few episodes from episode 1 through 99. The quotes, the memories, the flashbacks. Y.O.D, episode 99. Enjoy the moments, enjoy the memories, enjoy the clips, and be sure never to forget all things Y.O.D at www.theyodpodcast.com.
And my brother and I, when we came to California from Arkansas, we had to ride the back of the bus. And there was, I remember, colored-only water fountains and colored-only bathrooms. in Arkansas, I was so glad that we was moving up, you know, like the Jeffersons. We moved up from Pine Bluff, Arkansas to Watts. So that was a big move up for us. Watts was a big move up. And shortly after we got there, in 1965 was the Watts riots. And, black folks had got tired of, the situation they were in, frustrated, and started tearing shit up. And we were there, and I remember that very well. My dad was a preacher, and he was going to church. I don't care what was happening. We got the National Guard, tanks and shit on the sidewalk. And this motherfucker, I didn't mind if he went to church, but he want to take us with him. I'm like, man, leave me at home. Shit, you go ahead. And I remember soldiers and stuff stopping the car. Hey, where you going? And my dad, I'm on my way to church. And I'm like, shit. All these tanks and shit take me back home. You go ahead. But I couldn't say shit. Say shit, I was gonna get what Big Daddy did to him. Slap right in the mouth. Don't you dare not ask no why. Cause I fucking said so. That's why. Ask me no shit like that. Okay, I was born in 59, so they were still calling folks the N-word when I was, and it wasn't in no rap song either. It wasn't no rap back then. So, the N-word has a whole entire different meaning for me. I remember being 5 years old and asking a gentleman, I didn't call him a gentleman at the time, but asking a gentleman the price of a toy. And he told me he told me to go away N-word because you ain't got no money no way. And I'll be 60 my next birthday, and I still remember that. So I don't say, all the videos you see of me, I be cussing my ass off. I say anything under the sun, but you ain't gonna hear one N-word in not one of those videos. And for me, they say, well, we'll take the power from the word if we just use it, use it. I heard young people say that if we use it over and over again, then we take the power from. That don't work for me.
Well, yeah, I remember that was one of the first things I think Ajahn had told me is when you're in here, you got to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Because nobody in their right mind is I'm going to go put myself in a ring with someone and let them beat the shit out of me. There's not a lot of people that'll think, oh, hey, that looks fun. Let me go try that. So I remember too, the first time I started sparring, it's weird. It's definitely a different feeling, being in there and you're like, fuck, dude, this guy's trying to hurt me. And in reality, most of the time they're not. People are just they're just tapping you, but you're like, fuck, I'm not used to this. I need to bounce, So once you realize, you're you know what, this isn't bad. It's something that I can do. I'm able to, once you kind of reach that, you're comfortable being uncomfortable. You're able to see the bigger picture. You're able to see smaller things, things that you didn't see before when you were panicking.
Yep.
Yep. And
Yep.
a lot of people will ask me questions oh, how do you do that? How do you do this? He tried hitting you, but you were able to hit him. And I'm well, a punch is a punch, a kick is a kick. He's gonna try and hit me no matter what. I've just learned certain things, or I've gotten able to see certain things just putting myself in that situation, And it's funny because I know every day or every Friday, people John's always saying, people come in. And it's true, when you come in, you're making yourself be comfortable in an uncomfortable position, and then a lot of people, there's those moments you always talk about, oh fuck, you were right, now I'm able to do that, it's not that bad, I'm able to do this. I wasn't able to do this before, or I wasn't able to block that, but now I can. So it's just yeah, so it helps because obviously going out in the real world, you have stress, you have other things, family issues, work issues. But if you just are like, okay, well, you know what, let me take a fucking second, get my bearings, take a step back. All right, let me prioritize the things that I need to take care of. All right, this and that are all done. So that's how I see it.
I agree.
Simplest way you could put it. You're comfortable being uncomfortable.
Do all that stuff, and when I walked in here, I didn't know what I was walking into. It wasn't here actually; it was at the other location, and there was, and that was one thing I want to talk about. It was different. It was a different vibe.
Oh yeah.
There, it was a kind of a grit, a very very much of a grit to their cement floors, and it was always just cold for some reason in there and stuff. But then you turn on the heaters, it was cold, and there was just a couple people training at certain times and stuff. But so you walk in and I found out about that because kind of. Me and my buddies would go out and we got into some brawls and stuff, and the guy that I found out about this from, he only trained here for 3 months. Okay, and we get in these fights, and just the precision of these punches that this dude had, and I was winning my fight, I was beating the guy up more than he was beating his guy up. But I look over and just bang bang, the guy and he was just on point, and I was thinking well, I feel like I'm a better fighter, but man, that dude's pretty solid. Hey, what's up, dude? You were talking where'd you learn this? He's oh, extreme power. And I was thinking at first, I was extreme power. Okay, I was now it makes all the sense in the world. Is that because you feel like you have that when you embrace this thing. It's I do feel like I have extreme power, and it's because that I can walk into any gym still. I feel to this day, and be confident. Yeah, it's a little rusty. My time might be a little bit off and stuff, but my base will always be there and stuff. And it's because of this. And so I walked in to try to get better. Want to be better fighter than my buddy that was on my team. We were fighting other people on the streets, and little did I know that that was going to be the point of my life when I think it was just about to turn 19. I don't think I was even 19 yet. That pretty much has changed
everything like that. And I think, speaking about the evolution, what's really amazing, guys? I don't know if you all remember me, but I have 3 people here that helped me level up, and my first one was Latanya. And I remember Ajahn telling me when I was into that, because before, now I know the last time I went, everybody was kind of sparring on Fridays, but we had to earn to get in the ring when I went there. We had to earn our chance to get into the ring and spar. So my first contact was Latanya, and I looked at Ajahn and I was like, I had just got done with 3 combat tours. I was the toughest Marine in my head, right? And I was like, man, I gotta fight a girl, right? That's what I was thinking. I got into that ring. I got served. Served. And I was like, okay, all right. I got humbled. That was one lesson of humble that he taught without even saying anything, right? Yeah. And then the next evolution was Pinky. And then I was like, oh, shit. Because I saw her sparring, and I knew how fast she was. Even though she was real tiny at the time, she was moving, and I was like, damn, man, how am I going to do that? And then I got more into the ring. I started doing more privates. I was like, man, I need to level up. And then I remember Vernon. I remember the dreadlocks. And I remember sparring with him. And I remember how tall he was. And I'm short. I'm 5'8", on a good day. And so I remember one time I got my jab in. And I remember Vernon stopped. He's like, man, what's your reach like? And I was like, I'm not that long. It's just the technique. And then boom, an epiphany hit. And it was amazing. And then I got to do my gauntlet. And I remember one of my days I sparred with James. And I remember one time it was second round. First round, he was kind of feeling me out, testing me. He blasted me a few times in that lead leg with his rear kick. And second round, all I remember was looking at him, and then I saw the roof. And I landed flat on my back. And then the round ended. And I looked at coach, and I was like, I think I'm using this in the right text, but that was euphoric.
I get in there and he's like, yes, the stance, and I want you to practice just throwing punches. And I'm all like this, It's like, relax your shoulder. And I was like, okay. And he's like, relax your shoulder. Okay. Yeah, and then finally he was like, all right, yes, 10 pounds. Use this to throw your punches. So, first 5 minutes, I'm like this, And then about 5 minutes later, I was in the mirror so I could see myself. About 5 minutes later, your starts burning. Those 10 pounds is feeling like 50, and I'm like this now. So in my mind, I was like, okay, I feel like I've learned the lesson. Can I put the weights down? But I couldn't tell him that. So I kept on and I was like, all right. So right off the bat, on our first day, I already started to learn about myself. I come off as a cool, really kind of chill person, but also somehow super amped. And going to the gym, that was one of the big lessons I had to learn the hard way several times, was calming down.
Not just in gyms, and I don't think we would find, there's probably a small percentage of places where you'll find in a gym or a teacher in any capacity that would actually make you raise your level up from day one, second one, minute one. That motherfucker, we up here, so come on, So I think that's the biggest difference, that he makes you come outside of yourself to be more. He doesn't say, "Oh, okay, it's your first day. You don't gotta do 1,200 jumping jacks. Just do 50 or 200." He's like, "No, motherfucker, we doing 1,200. Do as many as you can do, and keep going." So I think that's the biggest difference, is he holds himself and everybody else to a standard that might be unreachable for the most part, for most people. But if you keep reaching for that high standard, even if you don't get there, you'll get super close and way higher than you would. Like, I push myself so much more than I ever have since then. So I think it's definitely one of the biggest reasons for that.
I was down at 24 Hour Fitness years ago. This could be a good. Fuck, I've been doing this a while now. 14, 15 years-ish. Somewhere in there. And this big-ass dude walked up to me. Big as Shaq. I think I told you this story. And I mean, I just turned... It was the funniest shit. This giant dude walked up, the black dude, he walked up to me. And I was using some cable thing to touch me on the shoulder. He's like, "Hey, crew." And I turned around, and I'm literally looking right in his damn chest. And I look up like this. And he goes, "Remember me?" I'm like, "No." He smiled, he stepped back. He went, and then he did like this. "Remember my face?" I'm like, "Were you a kid in my kids?" He goes, "Yeah, one of your kids." I'm like, "God damn." I said, "What the hell happened to you?" He started laughing. I'm like, I grew. I'm like, "No shit." I can't remember his name. Like, literally, he was like 6, 7 years old or some shit in the class. And he told me what major university he was in. He was like some top level basketball player at the time, and scholarship and this and that. And he said, I don't know, maybe he was in my kid's class a good 2, 3 years, maybe a little bit longer. And he said he still remembered everything I taught him as a kid. And he said, no. And between him, because I think they moved around, whatever, but I think military, but his, between him, and you know how a lot of times the parents, they sit and they hang out during the class and whatnot. He said, so between him, them, and me, everything stuck. And he said, use it and just carry it on. Well, he ain't the only one that has happened. And it's like, all I know is, regardless, it may not be comfortable. It may not be fun to hear everything I got to say, but goddamn it, the stuff I'm telling you, it builds you and sends you in the right goddamn direction. Like what we were saying, like before we start the recording, the process to succeed is the same. It applies to any and all avenues. That's the same. That ain't changing, and it's just understanding it. So I think that, as I say in class, all I am is just a conduit of information, and I don't just talk the shit. I live this way, and I think that that's the lesson right there. Like, it's one thing, blah blah blah, fuck blah blah blah. How come you ain't doing it?
It's really, really tough. You do love them, but you have to do what you got to do to make sure that they, go the right path. So the same thing when he's in the ring, and he's getting his butt whooped, by some other kid. And we're all, there's other parents here. Their kids are here too. There's other parents who are watching, and everybody wants their kid to win.
Right.
Nobody's gonna be like, oh man, I hope my kid lose today. Nobody wants their kid to get beat up.
No.
It's tough to watch, watch your son, your child work as hard as he did to be successful and then, not win.
Yeah.
But it's a learning lesson. I think after that loss, because it was a sanctioned fight, it was his first, real loss. He took it hard. He took it real, real hard.
That's good though.
I mean, he was devastated. So, but I think it kicked something else in gear. He got more drive from it. He realized that, hey, no matter how good I am, there's somebody somewhere, that's training just as hard, just as strong, just as quick, just as fast.
He woke up.
Who could beat you?
And that's something I've been saying to him. It's like, there's another you out there. The question is who's got their edge that moment. Like you run into your equal and you a badass, like 2 knives. Now what? It's that razor's edge. Like, oh shit. How come I ain't good enough? Why don't my dad love me? And then he and I've seen that happen so many times with young boys. Like it's a traumatic psychological thing to them. And so he acts out with anything and everything. The boy been kicked out of. Talk about track record. This little boy. Now I'm getting all the backstory. He was so bad that kindergarten didn't want to deal with him. Then he gets through the first few years of elementary and whatnot, constantly getting in trouble. They didn't want to deal with him. And then he I think he's 13 now, maybe 13, 14. It kicked out of every single school that he was in. Sent to continuation school. They kicked him out. I mean, and I know this boy, and I talk with him, and I see what he can do, and this is what really breaks my heart with this kid in particular, that he was improving, and I could see that he was getting it, but then I put the proper motivational guidance in him, like break it down and show him and talk to him. Like he's street smart as hell, and I can sense that. And even though he's that young, it's like he could tell I ain't blowing smoke up his ass because I'm coming from a house of pain too. It's like, So to get him to see that, yeah, I get that and understand that, but don't swim in it. You can still stand the hell up out of that. It's sticky and it's hard and it's heavy and whatnot, but just absolutely refuse to be like a quicksand.
Yeah.
Get out of it. Expectation will not, yeah, but you still be realistic. Like, okay, can't do this no more. Can't do that no more. Well, I can do it this way. Well, when they doing their thing, it's a version of that. Hold up. Wait. Because they themselves want to do that fucking performance. They're just in the drive to do the fucking performance. Catch-22 with the slave to it, yes and no. Because nobody made them do it. It's something that they just love to fucking do. And they're great at it. There's this thing where it's their medicine. The action and act of it is their medicine. You take that away, you talk about some severe fucking depression. That's who and what they are. There's one of a piece. But you have your days when you just off. Duh. You give a fuck who you are. You just, I ain't quite feeling it today. It's not a right or wrong, just the is. So what I'm saying is, at least the courage to speak up, like, wait a minute, I'm off. And
my actions hopefully are reinforcing what I say. There's going to be moments where I'm not at my best. That there's bad days, there's good days. We all have them. Women can be strong. Women can do some things that men think they shouldn't do. And I don't want to say, we want to be just as badass as a man. No, we want to be just as badass as a woman. I think him seeing that, he's going to expect women to have a certain level of physical strength because he's seen me work out and lift weights and be like, oh crap, like what are you doing? I think he'll expect that from us.
You should.
And I think that's fine because I don't want him to think, women should be like weak and sit on the side and not have anything to say or just sit there quietly. So I want him to look for a strong female, just knowing that, hey, it's possible. And hey, my mom's strong.
Ain't big. If your why ain't big, it's not going to be enough to fuel your what.
That's right.
So without purpose, if you don't have purpose in your actions, it's always going to be hollow. Well, just like what you said, if you speak and you trying to speak about poverty and you've never felt it, your words will always be hollow.
Yep.
You know,
no meaning.
If you've never killed, if you want to talk about suicide, you gotta experience it. You gotta feel it. And if you don't feel it, it's gonna be hollow. We gonna hear your stomach growl.
We're gonna know.
We gonna know.
We're gonna know.
You know, and I always try to tell myself that when I speak, I want to speak from a place I've been.
Yep.
And that's my purpose. That throughout, no matter what the situation is, whether it was in boot camp and I watched everybody quit or tap or something of that nature, my purpose was I gotta be something or I can't go back home.
There you go.
You know, when I'm around my kids, I'm a good father because I know what it's like to not have a father. You know, I'm willing to do whatever it takes for the Marines because I know what it was like when somebody couldn't even lift a finger for me. And I'm so adamant about being successful because I know what it's like to be poor. You know, and then when you know those things, that's enough fuel right there. It's like a fire where it's like it's constantly chasing you because you can't go back to that. You know, you can't go back to that.
Not an option.
Seeing my son, it's invaluable. What it's brought, and not just confidence-wise, but my whole thing is, you know, my son's number one in his class. He takes pride in that. He likes to be number one in here, and it started in here. You know, he just had turned 4, or he was like 3 on the cusp, and he would come, and then he turned 4, and he was full blown. You know, he's the type where if Ajahn says, all right, kids, you have to do 400 burpees, he'll make my wife count out 400. He won't skip. And she's like, you know, he knows that other kids won't do it, even if he doesn't get to spar as much or what. He'll do all of them. And he'll tell me, oh yeah, I did all my burpees today. I'm like, okay. You know, at school, his teacher, you know, he was the first. His whole thing now is like, New Year comes. He's in 1st grade now. He's like, I want to be the first. It's like student of the month. They call it like coyote of the month, which he ended up getting. But I said, okay, well, you have to listen the best. You have to, you have to interact. You have to show kindness to your peers, and he did all that. And then, you know, the teacher's like, wow, you're such an amazing young man. But it's like, if you're able to kind of harness a child's competitive nature, it nurtures that uphill as you tie it back for him to take the right path in life.
Yep.
And in here, it's like, shoot, I don't. When I'm in here, I hardly talk to him because he knows Adjarn is who is your teacher in here.
Honestly, I mean, just everything that I know him for. I want my daughter to have the relationship I have with him, you know, obviously in a granddaughter, you know, relationship, but I want her to have that same thing, and I hope that she looks up to him the way that I do. You know, I tell everybody my dad is my idol. He is, like, that is the one person that I look up to for anything and everything. I can always tell my dad this, he's a legend. He is. You know, it's very hard to explain to people, you know, just how great my dad is. It really is. I mean, you don't know unless you know him. He's just my dad, you know, and I hope that she feels that same way, and I hope that she can have that bond that I have with my dad. And the biggest thing too that, you know, I'm kind of looking forward to is, you know, we'll be living out there with him for a year, and I'm glad that she'll be able to grow with him, and I hope that, you know, through that year that she gets the life lessons that I got, and that she carries it with her just like me.
It's definitely become what I think in my gut I wanted it to be and do, and didn't know it was going to. It was like when we first started, like, man, it'd be nice if, and it does just that, and it has its own life and its own place. And I'm surprised that some people that have messaged me or even come in and say, hey, you know, I listen to the podcast, and I'm thinking, word? Okay. You know, and they'll say,
how, you know, the positivity that comes from it. You know, I need a little motivation. I turn on the podcast. I'm thinking, damn, you know, and that is the goal. Because, you know, like I said, not a whole lot of people doing that. So when I'm doing that, it's selfless. It's not about me, I'm sharing. And I said before, I still want others to share their fucking story. They need to. Start having where other people speaking for you, for us. You know, shitheads like Candace Owens. I don't mean to give this fucking woman shine, but it's like enough's enough, because this whole, like I said, I don't really know what the fucking mission is, but I see, as my dad said, and I said this shit on the podcast too, definitely with Black Excellence series, and he taught me, he said, Junior, don't ever let black man struggle become your black man hustle. I get that, there's still dignity in that. I'm still black. The world sees me as that. Good, bad, or indifferent, that's the uniform I wear, so I'm gonna hate myself. Fuck you. I actually like my goddamn skin tone. I actually like what I see when I look in the fucking mirror. Who's teaching is supposed to be negative? Yeah, I grew up in that, I get it, but I don't buy into it. So it's not like I'm on this crusade to shit on myself. Or to shit on anybody. Because it's wrong. How many times I've said that? I don't give a fuck, you know, as we say back home, just because you're black don't make you right, just because you're white don't make you wrong. If the individual is doing wrong shit, whatever they're wearing, well, that's what they're wearing. Don't generalize. So yet and still I live through all that, but I don't hate myself, and ain't a bigot in reverse, because it's wrong. But growing up in a bigoted environment, it can do that to you. It's going to either make you hate yourself or hate back in return. It takes some strength to not go either way. Ride down the fucking middle and do right, and leave them alone. So it's been a good, I don't know, a good breather, you know, if you will, and just surprising and been fun. And like I said, I didn't know I was good at impromptu until you. And it's so easy for me, you know, someone, you know, ask me something, you know, just off the hip. It's like, because I can go on and on and on, but then that's just testament to how much I've lived and all the shit I've done and stuff I still do. Like, it's just layers and layers and layers and layers. And I mean, I can go on, like, I have to stop myself, like, okay, that's enough of that. And so it's just, I'm very happy with it. You know, and then for those of you that listen, there ain't no money coming from this fucking thing, because everything ain't about money. You know, you live your life right. It's a Deepak Chopra, I think, is it 7 Spiritual Laws of Success, somewhere in there. I'm paraphrasing it, but if you do things the right way, money will come anytime. And that's fact. And this coming from me not being able to get a decent fucking job only because of my skin tone. I burn up all day struggling just to get by with $2, $3. And I refuse to go the direction of crime, which is the environment try to make you, break you. Well, I know you're tired of working like that, you know, just go do this. Fuck you. Yeah. Then I end up being what you perpetuate. Patience and persistence. I'm gonna make it. I don't know how, but I'm gonna make it. That has always been my spirit.
Yes, sir. As always, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching, subscribing, commenting, and sharing the Y.O.D Podcast. www.theyodpodcast.com.